My sister and I had a thing where we never called each other, not because we didn't get along. We got along fine. Better than most siblings, actually. It was just how we communicated. Text, mostly. Voice notes when one of us was too tired to type or had too much to say. It worked for us. It had worked for years. She lived about 40 minutes away, across the city, in a neighborhood she'd moved to after her divorce. I hadn't been to her new apartment more than twice. She seemed okay there. Settled, even. She'd gotten a cat. She started going to a gym. Every time we talked, she sounded more like herself again, so when I woke up and saw a voice note from her, I wasn't alarmed. Not at first. It was early. Earlier than I usually got up. The light through the curtains was still gray, that flat kind of gray that makes everything feel paused. I'd gone to bed late, and my eyes were heavy. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand out of habit. There were a few notifications, an email, a news alert, and then her message sitting there in our chat. 2:14 a.m. I stared at the timestamp for a second. That was strange. She wasn't a night person, never had been. Even in university, she was in bed by 11. I figured maybe she couldn't sleep. Maybe she'd had a bad dream and wanted to talk and didn't want to actually call and wake me. I pressed play. There was no voice, just sound. It wasn't static exactly. It wasn't silence either. It was something in between, a kind of ambient noise, like a room with air in it. The faint, low hum of an environment. The audio was maybe 20 seconds long. I listened to the whole thing waiting for her to say something. She never did. I set the phone down and lay there for a minute. Pocket dial, I thought. She'd done it before. Accidentally sent a voice note while rummaging in her bag. It had happened twice in the last year, both times with that same shapeless ambient sound. We'd even laughed about it once. She'd called it her ghost messages. I typed, "Did you pocket dial me again?" Added a small laughing emoji to keep it light. Then I went back to sleep. She didn't reply that day, which also wasn't unusual. She worked long shifts at the hospital, admin, not clinical, but the hours were still draining. Sometimes she'd go a day without responding to anything. I'd learned not to read into it. That was just her rhythm. By evening, I'd mostly forgotten about it. It was 3 days later when I noticed something. I was looking for an old photo she'd sent me, something from our mother's birthday a few months back, and I was scrolling up through our chat to find it, past the usual back and forth. And I noticed the voice note again. The one from 2:14 a.m. I don't know why I pressed play again. Boredom, maybe. Or just the impulse you get when something is sitting there and you're not quite done with it. I listened. The same shapeless sound, same low ambient nothing. But this time I had my earphones in, and this time I heard something underneath it. It was faint. So faint, I almost convinced myself I was constructing it, the way your brain finds patterns in white noise when it's looking hard enough. But there was a rhythm to it, soft, irregular rhythm. Like someone breathing close to a microphone. Slow, deliberate. I took one earphone out, then I put it back in and listened again. It was still there. I told myself it was the recording environment. Phones pick up everything. She'd probably been asleep and her phone had somehow sent a voice note on its own. It happened with certain apps, certain notification settings. There was a rational explanation. There was always a rational explanation. I texted her, "Hey, are you around this week? Want to grab dinner?" She replied that evening. Just a few words. "Yeah, sure. Maybe Thursday." Her tone seemed normal. No indication anything was wrong. I let it go. Thursday came and went, and she canceled an hour before, said she was tired and would reschedule. I wasn't upset. It happened. I told her no worries and left it at that. But that night, I listened to the voice note again. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I do and I just don't want to say it. The breathing was still there. And this time I sat with it long enough to notice it didn't sound like hers. My sister breathes through her nose when she's relaxed. I'd shared a room with her until I was 15. I knew the sound of her asleep. This was different. Lower, slower, with a faint texture to it, like the air was passing through something not quite right. I put my phone face down on the table. I sat in my kitchen for a while without turning on any extra lights, just the one above the stove. It left the corners of the room dark. I tried to think logically. I tried to think about how sound behaves in recordings, how phones interpret silence, how you can hear almost anything if you listen long enough for it. I tried to think about all of that, but I kept coming back to one thing. If it was a pocket dial, If she had accidentally hit record and left her phone in her bag, the sound you'd hear would be muffled. Fabric against the microphone, that distinctive padded rustling. This was open air. Whatever had recorded that sound had been left out in the open, in a room, in the quiet. Something in that room had been breathing. I called her that night instead of texting. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I texted instead. Just checking in. Call me when you get a chance. She called back the next morning while I was making coffee. She sounded fine. Normal. Slightly rushed, the way she always was before a shift. I asked how she was doing and she said tired. The usual. I asked about her apartment and she said fine. Why? I said no reason. Just hadn't heard much about it lately. There was a small pause. Then she said, it's fine. I don't love it at night, but it's fine. I asked what she meant by that. She said, the building makes noise, old pipes or something. It's nothing. And then she said she had to go, and she hung up. I don't love it at night. Stood in my kitchen with my coffee going cold. I thought about calling her back. Thought about asking her directly. Did you send me a voice note a couple weeks ago? Did you mean to? Is there something you want to tell me? I didn't? Because I think part of me did and want the answer to be what I was already starting to feel it might be. She hadn't sent that voice note as an accident. That's what I keep coming back to. Because if you think about it, really think about it, you'd accidentally record 20 seconds of clean open air audio. You don't accidentally send it at 2 in the morning and then never mention it. You don't accidentally capture the sound of a room where something is quietly, steadily breathing. You send something like that because you can't speak, because you want someone to hear what you're hearing and you don't have the words or the safety or the time to explain it. And now, every time I text her, she takes a little longer to reply. Every time I suggest dinner, there's an excuse that sounds just reasonable enough to accept. Her voice when we talk is the voice of someone who has practiced sounding okay. I know that voice. I used it myself once, a long time ago. When I was living somewhere I shouldn't have been, with someone I should have left sooner. I know exactly what it sounds like. Last night I listened to the voice note one more time. I sat in the dark and I listened all the way through, twice. The breathing is still there, patient and slow, right at the edge of what you can hear, somewhere underneath it. And I need you to understand I've listened enough times now that I'm certain of this. There's the softest sound of something moving just once, just at the very end. Like something or someone realized the phone was there. I'm going to her apartment tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know what she needs me to find. I haven't been able to sleep. And every time the room gets quiet, I think about what she said. I don't love it at night. I wonder what it looks like at night in that apartment. I wonder what's there when she turns the lights off. I wonder if it knows that she called me.